sister? Is she older or younger? She's 2 years younger than me. Do you get along with her? Well, yeah, keine Ahnung. I thought about how I answered this question a second and decided then that honestly was the best policy, keine Ahnung. Not really. We fight like cats and dogs. At this, she gave a gentle laugh. What do you fight about? Oh, it's never about the same two things. Put the two of us in a room together for a few hours, and all of a sudden there's something, and we're at it again. I was pretty sure I didn't want to keep going on about my sister, and I fought all the time, so I needed to find a way to get out of talking about it. Look over there! I shouted the first thing that came to mind and took off running down the beach. She followed, chasing after me. After a little bit I slowed down and let her catch me. Catch you! She said, laughing as she grabbed hold of my shirt. And we kept walking together down the beach. As the night went by, we talked about many things. To be honest, I don't really remember exactly what we said. What stayed with me are the sensations. The smell of the salt in the sea air, the sound of the waves hitting the shore, the way the moonlight made her skin glow, the feel of the sand as it dripped on the rock and fell, the warmth of Mary's hand as she reached out and held me back up. Are you alright? I think so. The sand was soft. I'm glad. What did you trip on? I think it was a rock or something. I turned to look at where it fell. There were rocks there, enough that it would have been hard to ascend anyone so plain. Be careful. I wouldn't want you to be hurt. I nodded, gave the rocks one last look and turned to start walking again. But just then a golden glint hit my eye. I went over to where I saw the glint and started digging. After a few seconds, Mary came over to where I was. Did you find something? I don't. I was going to say I didn't know, but I stopped myself, for I had found what I was looking for. My hand was a gold ring. I held it up for Mary to take a look at. It's the ring. Du bist aber sehr schlau, Protagonist. I examined it a little more closely. It was far too light to be made of real gold, and there were scratches where the gold plating was torn off. I held it up so Mary could have a better look at it. It's beautiful. Isn't real. Someone took a metal ring and plated gold onto it to make it look nicer. But it's so pretty. If you like it, you can have it. Can I? Sure. Can you put it on for me? I didn't need to answer this, and she had out her hand. I took it and slid the ring onto her finger. It was a perfect fit. Thank you. With that, she grabbed onto my arm, and together we started walking down the beach. Before we knew it, it was dawn, and we found ourselves in the same place where we parted a month ago. Can you stay and watch the sunrise this time? I'm sorry, I can't. Well, then when can I see you again? I can only see you I can only see you on the night of the full moon. Even though I thought she might say this, but even though I thought she might say this, it still hurt a little to hear it. I didn't know how I could go a month without seeing her. How come? Why can't I see you before then? Because I'm a ghost. Sie shall... What? Das heißt, es ist nicht echt... Na, ich habe mir schon was Ähnliches schon gedacht, aber... Huh? Okay, she said it as if it was the most obvious thing in the world, as if someone telling you that she's a ghost and something that happens every day. Not knowing exactly what to say, I just stood there in silence. Eventually, Mary decided to elaborate on this to tell me her story. I became a ghost after I died. I died along with my family in the epidemic that hit this island when I was 10. For some reason I came back on the night of the full moon. I just found myself here on the island. I came back on the night of the next full moon, and the next, and as far as I know everyone after that. I always come back on the night of the full moon. I can do whatever I want at night, but when the sun rises, everything goes dark, and suddenly it's the next month. It's been that way for hundreds of years. It was boring for a while, but eventually people came back to the island. Once in a while, someone would meet me, like you did. We would talk for a while, but most of them were only interested in talking to me because I was a ghost. They always went away after a while. I guess there's only so much I can say about it. Come to think of it, you never asked me about it. Didn't you figure it out? I had no idea. You didn't? Usually people figure it out on the first night. That's the only reason people ever came back. They would come and talk to the ghost until they lost interest. She let out a small laugh and then seemed to realize something. That means you aren't here because I'm a ghost? You came here because you choose to be with me? Once again I was speechless, so we stood there for a little while. Finally she broke the silence. The sun's almost up and I need to be going. Don't go. But I grabbed her hand and pulled her close to me. Stay with me and watch the sunrise. We didn't say anything after that. We just stood there, hand in hand, watching the sky slowly brighten. I could feel her left hand in my right as we stood there looking out over the ocean. And then the sun rose, and suddenly my right hand was empty. I turned to look, but the girl who was standing there was gone. I guess she really is a ghost, I said to no one in particular. She had told me, and I believed her, but until she disappeared, there was still a little bit of doubt, keine Ahnung. I spent the morning standing at the cliff, thinking about it. And I finally realized I had to set her free. I realized that it wasn't natural for someone like Mary to be trapped for hundreds of years as a ghost, condemned to show up only on the night of the full moon. And despite my feelings for her, I came to the conclusion that the best thing I could do was to help her find peace. I spent the next month doing research in the island's small library. I poured through every book they had on the occult. Ghosts, magic, witchcraft, things like that. I read 2 or 3 books a day. When I finished the few books the island's library had, I had them order more from the mainland. I got to the point where most of the libraries knew me by name, and the rest knew me by my reputation as the college guy obsessed with the occult. The thing about those books was that while most of their content was made up, deep under the surface some contained a small grain of truth. The only way I could figure it out was to read everything I could on the subject and figure out what it all had in common. On the night of the next full moon, I was ready to put what I had learned into practice. I returned to the spot where we met on the first night and watched the ocean waves slowly rolling in. Mary was there, waiting for me. You came back. I wasn't going to leave her alone after all that. She doesn't say anything to this. So what are we going to do tonight? Usually I spend the night walking around the island like we did the other nights. I see. So may I escort you? Of course. She grabbed my arm and we started off on our customary journey around the island. We didn't take as much as this time. We didn't need to. We didn't need to. Just being in each other's presence was enough. The chill in the air contrasted with the warmth of her skin. Who would have thought that a ghost could be warm? We had a few short conversations to pass the time, but mostly we walked in silence. The events of last time weighed heavily on us, and if we were both waiting for the other shoe to drop. Nee, keine Ahnung, ich hab jetzt Scheiße gelesen irgendwie. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and came right out and asked her the question I needed to. Mary, is there something you regret never being able to do? The key inside, the kernel of truth that I discovered in all those books, was that the thing that makes a ghost is regret. What do you mean? I don't know. Is there something you wanted to do but were never able to? She thought about this for a while. Finally, she responded in a barely audible whisper. I wanted to be a bride. Oh, I knew it. I had come up with a list of things Mary could possibly regret, and this was on the top of the list. She had said her dream was to get married. Heck, her dress even looked like a wedding dress. I knew that if I loved her, there was only one thing I could do. So I got down on knee and said, Mary Harper, will you marry me? She was stunned by this, and stood there for a few seconds, saying nothing. Finally, she spoke. Are you sure you want to marry me? The most sure that I've ever been. Then, yes. I got up and we embraced, but she was still a little confused. But how can we do it? I can only go out at night, and I don't think that any minister would marry off a ghost. Don't worry, we can have a common law marriage. Common law? As long as we say we married and make vows to each other, it counts. Really? So when can we get married? If you're ready, we can do it right now. I am. Then let's do this. I pulled out my back pocket a sheet containing wedding vows that I had prepared. I changed my voice to sound as I was some sort of minister and began writing. Me speaking as minister. Do you take this woman to be your wedded wife to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness or in health, as long as you both exist? In my normal voice I responded, I do. I turned to Mary and repeat the vow for her. Do you take this man to be your wedded husband, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness or in health, as long as you both exist? I do. We stood there for a second, before I finally continued. Well, that's it. We married. All that's left is the kiss. She came close to me, and we embraced. I closed my eyes, waiting for her lips. Thank you. I heard her whisper